alone. There are nuances of violence that many people take it for granted. Maybe the discussion about what is violence, what is the details of violence, and why this violence, maybe that's a constant issue we have to keep on asking to ourselves. Thank you.
I would just add factors that I feel which specifically get associated with sexual violence. Sorry. The ideologies of male sexual entitlement. So when we are reading about all these male incidents happening every day, it all emanates from there. And also our legal system is so weak that people feel that they can just get away with that.
One last question. And
off है मैं आपको mic off.
I think without the micros I'm quite audible. I have a couple of questions, or rather concern, I would say. Firstly, I seriously believe in India, especially, we have too many laws, but that's not a solution. Like Joe said, the society at large needs to do something about it. A boy child and a girl child, they're brought up in a different fashion. A boy is never taught to be sensitive. From the very childhood, it's okay to be manly. It's okay if he gets into a brawl. It's okay if he does not treat his mother or sister properly. You see, if you do not train them, or if you do not make them a sensitive person since they were a child, do you think, and they're seen at large in the society, they do get to see that there are violence, men are supposed to be strong, they are supposed to be they are supposed to be the powerful sex. But as a mother of a 10-year-old son, it's my responsibility also that I bring up my boy as a human being first. And a male, maybe, it doesn't make a difference if it's a male child or a female child. Maybe we can do something in the school level, introduce some education, make them more aware that if you see your mother getting hit every day, you're also supposed to voice. You're supposed to seek help. It's not normal for a mother to get hit, or anyone, any female member of your family to get hit. Law always cannot intervene and solve a concern. That's my personal experience also. And when it comes to marital rape, it is something very sad that can happen to a woman, because you're married to someone and you trust the person completely. In Indian society especially, you change your name, you go to a house which you take up your own, you think they are the people who are supposed to protect you. Do you think law alone can help it? Or law alone can resolve the concern? Society at large doesn't have anything to do in it?
That is not law. Law is only a springboard. Law can't do that much. But eventually it is the society and the mindset that has to change. There's no question. Even if you have a law, you can't implement it in the homes. So we hope that all the mothers will be like you and bring up their boys in that fashion. And I'm sure that one of the differences between here and other countries is that boys are not brought up to think that whatever they do is right. If they can hit their sister or they can browbeat her or something like that is not right. I think that now education, and that's why in this report we've dealt at length with the question of education, with the question of the mindset, with the question of patriarchy, how to change that. And that is something which society has done. That doesn't happen in a day. I can see the difference in the sense, even in small things. My husband never nappy changed the babies, but my son does. So that means they are doing jobs which they thought were only fit for the mother to do. So my son does nappy change his babies. So therefore there is a difference, and I'm sure that difference will come. Mindset changing is extremely important. Society changing is extremely important, but it's a slower process. The law moves forward and you use it as a springboard. But you have to change all the atmospheres around the law, the police, the judiciary to be faster. All those things have to be changed.
I think my presentation, which is absolutely very important that we think about. I don't know how we can address it. And that's the time bomb of the one-child policy and the male child policy that exists in India and especially in China. We already see the example of that. There's a shortage of women. And the violence has already spread quite widely. The ratio at the moment, male-female ratio in China, is 1.2 to 1. And you don't have to have a very vivid imagination what that will eventually result in. Thousands of women are kidnapped, smuggled, sold over the borders from Vietnam, Laos, and Myanmar almost every day. And I think we need to somehow have that in the back of our mind when we start thinking about what to do about this.
Joe?
There is soon an announcement about one-child policy approaching. I'm happy to say that we are part of that dialogue process and what we call it as family care program. So they put it as looking at the issue as just as a one-child policy. Family care policy is quality family care. In that context, so there's an extensive discussion and debate going on within China. And you may not know the extent of in which how that policy is implemented. For example, every eligible couples when they get married, they have to make a deposit to the Ministry of Social Welfare. And the first child, and if they have a second child, that money will be forfeited by the state. This is the extent in which they've enforced. For example, there are over 7 or 8 specific areas in which this policy is enforced, and each policy is slowly dismantled, including the one-child policy. So, our organization is part of this dialogue between different countries, looking at reviewing the population policies in 25 countries. In that context, things are changing. But what I wanted to suggest is that the issue of socialization of boys and young men, that is one of the key issues. One of my colleagues, both of them are university professors, and my male colleague, both of my classmates, they said, I never controlled my wife, but my son, he's an engineering student, he put pressure on mother, asking her why you are late, why you are not, what time you come back home. That teenage son is putting pressure on mother, not his wife. He was saying that I can't understand this. I never ask my wife when she will come, when she will go. She might inform me when she is late for the classes lecture, but my teenage son is taking more interest in my mother's mobility and her freedom. And I can explain it how it is. I'm just giving an example about it. So maybe, one of the issues that probably we have a serious system evaluation, education system. What are the values you put forward? Maybe the social system, education, cultural activities. So a complete review of what's happening in this gender equity, gender inequity as an issue which has to be part of the political agenda. Maybe in the next election we have to ask political leaders, what is your gender agenda? What is the gender equity agenda? And also budget how much money we are going to put forward ensuring that gender equity will be enforced. Just by setting up one women's bank, will it contribute towards equity? I don't know. Maybe that's a positive step towards that direction. Maybe this way we might look at it.
Okay, we are very, very short on time now.
करना चाह रही थी सवाल की नहीं है, जस्ट क्वेरी है, मेरे मन में टूटा है कि कोई भी सरकारी कर्मचारी, गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल अगर करप्शन में पकड़ा जाता है तो उसको उसकी जॉब से सस्पेंड कर देते हैं या निकाल देते हैं, लेकिन वही अगर हमारे पॉलिटिशियंस इस तरह के करप्शन में और इस तरीके के मिसकंडक्ट्स में फंसे हुए हैं, तमाम सबूत है, सारे प्रोसीजर्स चल रहे हैं उनके खिलाफ, उसके प्रोसीजर्स, देन उनको हम पार्लियामेंट में बैठाएंगे, तो उनको काउंटर करने का क्या कोई कोई प्रोसीजर नहीं है, कोई सवाल नहीं है, क्या किया जाएगा?
आपको मेरी समझ में आ रही है? तुम्हें अंग्रेजी में क्योंकि ज्यादा लोग कहते हैं समझ नहीं आते. Question is quite clear that we can sack bureaucrats, but we can't sack our politicians. But every 5 years we get a chance to be sacked. And every 5 years you must take a decision that you will not vote for any politician who has a criminal record or who has not even a criminal record, but a suggestion of having passed clear remarks on women or done any of the things that you think are wrong. That is your sacred duty, and it is your sacred duty to vote. So you are responsible as much as anybody else to put them in there. And once they're there, you have to cope with them. But the fact is that you have that choice every 5 years. So they're sacked every 5 years.
Thank you. That's
Question. Can I request everyone to please put their cell phones on silent mode or switch them off or max off screen?
Happy to be here, but शुरू करने से पहले हमने मतलब क्या कहें ये प्रेशर कुकर वाला मुद्दा है शुरू हो गया है हम लोगों के लिए। मैं अपने आप थोड़ा इंट्रोड्यूस करना चाहती हूँ। मैं नंदिनी राव हूँ, मैं महिला आंदोलन से जुड़ी हुई हूँ काफी सालों से। माय नेम इज नंदिनी राव, आई एम पार्ट ऑफ द वुमेन्स मूवमेंट इन इंडिया and do work related to women's rights. I'm an activist who does work related to women's rights. हमारे लिए 16 दिसंबर एक तारीख है, पर उस तारीख से पहले और उस तारीख के बाद बहुत सारी ऐसे औरतें, बहुत सारी ऐसी लड़कियां उसी हिंसा में शामिल हुई हैं, जैसे जिनको हम निर्भय बोल रहे हैं, और जिसका नाम मैं कहूंगी, जिसका नाम ज्योति है। हम जानते हैं उस लड़की का नाम ज्योति है। So I think we should respect her and give her the name that her parents also want her to be known as. For us, 16th December is just a date. Before 16th December and after 16th December, there have been innumerable women and girls who have faced sexual violence of all kinds. Not just rape, not just gang rape, but all kinds of violence. When we try to address the issue of violence against women, we are forced, we meaning society, all of us, are forced to go to all institutions, all patriarchal institutions that are a part of that violence. हम मानते हैं, महिला आंदोलन में भी हम मानते हैं कि ये सिर्फ हम जिस पितृसत्तात्मक समाज में हम रहते हैं, उस पितृसत्तात्मक समाज में जबरन हमें जाना पड़ता है हर एक जगह पे, चाहे हम कानून के पास जाएं, जैसे अभी जो पहला वाला पैनल था, कानून के बारे में काफी डिटेल में बातचीत हुई, चाहे हम कानून के पास जाएं, चाहे हम मीडिया के पास जाएं, चाहे हम एजुकेशन, शिक्षा की बात अगर हम करें, हर एक तमाम उन पितृसत्तात्मक संस्थाएं या ढांचे जिसमें हम लोग शामिल हैं। When we talk about women's rights, we have to go to those patriarchal institutions, whether it's the law, like the first panel talked about, or it's education, or it's the media. This panel, which I'm now going to introduce, is